Read, we found Medusa here at Macy's. She's robbing the store with Spider-Man. Ah, one of the many Spider-Man Christmas stories. Don't mind if I do. Greetings, comic lovers, and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, reviews of comics new and old, to history to anecdotes, really wherever our whims take us. Spider-Man has had a lot of series, both main series and spin-offs, one-shots, just so much. Spidey everywhere. One that fell in the memory hole for some was Spider-Man's Tangled Web, which lasted 22 issues and ran from 2001 to 2003. It was an anthology-style series, and Spider-Man featured, but sometimes very, very briefly. Sometimes he'd only be in the background or in a couple of panels. So they really highlighted some of the supporting casts or villains, or just told random stories. There are some strong villain stories in this short run. The Greg Rucka story, Severance Package from issue 4, about a hitman on his way to deal with the Kingpin after a failed assignment, is particularly memorable. It was also unique for featuring creators who didn't really work either with Marvel or with Spider-Man at that time. And this series had not one, but two tales by Darwyn Cooke. That's right, Spider-Man and Darwyn Cooke's unique style. Cooke did much more work for DC and was branching out to do some freelancing with Marvel around this time period, before he then had a falling out with then senior editor Axel Alonso. So if you're a fan of his work and were wondering is there any Marvel stuff, the answer is yes, and we're about to see an example of some of it. We're going to take a look at the second story he wrote, issue 21, Twas the Fight Before Christmas. It's a standalone tale with an attempt at a comedic take on some Peter shenanigans the night before Christmas, a night when he has to go out and get a gift for Jameson's wife during a blizzard. It also somehow manages to feature the Fantastic Four, the Wasp, Crystal, and a whole bunch of Japanese orphans. I don't know why there are a bunch of Japanese orphans in this story, but there are. You know you're curious. Let's take a look together. Settle in, maybe get a snack, maybe something holiday themed or something a little special. Treat yourself. This video is brought to you by Boxu. Hello, it's me from the future with my Boxu box and different hair because it's the future. Boxu. Boxu is a premier authentic snack subscription. It allows you to try unique snacks directly from Japan. If you enjoy experiencing unique flavors or perhaps some familiar flavors you're missing, this subscription is the perfect gift, be it for you or someone else. Each month you get a distinct, unique theme. Each box comes with a guide that will detail the snacks that are contained within. Some of these have decades or even centuries of tradition. The script says to what's in them, potential allergens, taste, region, all of that good stuff. If you've been getting them for a while too, you can kind of predict sometimes what might reappear, and that's exciting, like these strawberry gummies. It's a lot of fun, informative, and delicious. Plus, for US fans, get excited. They're doing a free Tickets to Japan giveaway, and anyone who is subscribed before December 31st is automatically entered. I'll include a link in my description so you can check out the terms and conditions and other methods of entry. If you're interested, use my code casually10. My code will get you 10% off your subscription. They also have lifestyle items now, which is a lot of fun. The website's just interesting in general. You can check out all the history of the makers and the like. So if you enjoy sampling all these different types of snacks and just trying something different, well then this is a subscription for you. Alright, now that we're all settled, it's story time. This cover is very fun. Spider-Man's head looks almost like a Christmas ornament coming out of the Santa bag, and all the ladies featured in the story are circling around his head, in a manner reminiscent of how they describe sugar plums dancing around one's head. It instantly has a very whimsical holiday feel, and it completely matches the tone of the interior. And since Cooke did the cover, all the art matches. Which is an extra bonus because Cooke's style is, well, highly stylized and distinct, so it can be jarring when you switch between it and something else. The opening page is done in a style that's meant to emulate those classic opening narration boxes of Christmas tales, where they set up what's happening and who you need to be paying attention to, possibly in Whoville. Peter was sent out to get a crystal unicorn for Jameson's wife on Christmas Eve during their office party, but he's not sad to leave because MJ's plane got delayed because of the worst Christmas storm ever, as it usually tends to be in these stories, so he's a little bummed. He then randomly comes across these orphans, who seem to be Japanese orphans because they keep using the common honorifics while they use one, the most common son. Again, why are they there? Because they are. This story just has orphans in it. For the mayhem and hijinks they cause. They got left behind after their schoolmaster forgot them. Miss Keiko's getting fired. They name her. Peter brings these kids back to the office party to be watched. Why there? Shh, it's not that kind of story. If you're looking for things to line up in a realistic, real world way, this is not the tale. It's not coming at you on hyper-realistic terms, but rather on holiday special terms. Peter then decides he's gonna take to the skyline and get the shopping done. Cooke's line art and J Bones' inks and the coloring by Matt Hollingsworth, it all really comes together in this book. Miles will of course vary because of course artistic taste can be very subjective. The one thing I will say is that this is a very snowless Christmas blizzard. It's on the ground, but it's not not falling. I demand at least one panel where the snow is obscuring my vision and ruining all the composition. Peter ended up picking up Spider-Man action figures for the kids. I hope he put it on the Bugles tab. That would be great. These orphans are mostly here for the comedic interactions that they have with Jameson. Quiet! Papa-san!
Ye gods, it's attached itself. Help!
I love how smug Peter looks that they like his Spider-Man merch.
Spider-Man!
You know who doesn't like it? Johnny Storm. The thing got him one as a joke gift. The rivalry and eventual friendship between Peter and Johnny is great. They really disliked each other at the start, and it was pretty petty, and at points they can still be that way. So it's a fun callback to how much Johnny used to be irked by random Spidey things at points. What did this lame-o do to deserve a figure? Come on, Matchstick, I've seen the way you look at old Webhead. Admit it, you're kinda sweet on him. Now, Ben, don't encourage the shippers. You know it doesn't take much. They were roommates. Johnny throws the figure at him on fire, and it singes his sweater, and there's even a little singe sound effect added, which is our transition to our other plot. We gotta get all these characters together in the same place, sitcom style. Sue Storm is going out Christmas shopping with Crystal and the Wasp. Everybody's leaving their gifts to the last man in the Marvel Universe. Oh, also Medusa is missing. Kind of a big deal, but Reed's on the case, and also because he's doing that, he doesn't have to go on the shopping trip. I see you, Reed. We'll find her, Crystal. Medusa was last seen by Alicia yesterday. Master of Tact, Reed Richards. Now, an interesting thing about this series in general is that not all the creators are overly familiar with Marvel characters necessarily, or they don't have knowledge of all of the intricate details, and sometimes that factors into the stories and sometimes it doesn't, or sometimes it alters the characterizations a bit. Now, this series isn't strictly canonical. It's kind of playing a bit fast and loose and a bit on the side. And because of that, sometimes the characterizations can also feel loose, or what they need to be for the story. The Wasp is a little bit like that here. Feliz Navidad, fellow shoppers. Yeesh, this one is a bigger sleeping pill than Hank Pym. Can we let go? Come on, Chris, let's go buy some shoes. I cannot hear anybody say they're gonna get shoes without thinking back to this amazing classic internet YouTube gem. I will share a bit of it now with you. Shoes.
Shoes. Shoes. Oh my god, shoes. Shoes.
Charge it. Cause ladies be spending all that money on the credit cards, am I right? Up top. Humor is subjective. Everybody has different subject positioning. Some jokes land, some jokes don't. It depends on you. Do you charge it? Everything is about to go down at Macy's, where they are boasting an appearance from the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. We see a mysterious villain, and Hench, a very tall Hench, has planned a heist at the store, but is now worried about Spider-Man, but says it can't be helped. I mean, when you already made the plan, you might as well go through with it, even if the hero's already there. The store, of course, does not have the real Spider-Man. They've hired someone, kind of like how you hire a department store Santa. They're shelling out twice the money so that they can have a department store Spider-Man. You'd think this would actually happen fairly frequently, although I also like the idea that Spider-Man has the rep where people wouldn't question that he would just be appearing at Macy's. The person hired to play Spider-Man is Flash Thompson.
You can relax because I was born to play Spider-Man. I'm his biggest fan. I've spent all week studying his moves. I promise I won't let you and Spidey down.
Look, Flash, let's just try and keep it on our costume, eh? Man, I hope that joke's about Flash being too into Spidey and not a reference to anything that happened with previous department store Spider-Man. Peter is gonna end up at this store because he had to go back to get the gift for Jonah's wife that he forgot because he was so busy buying those Spider-Man figures. He needs to get that unicorn, but the unicorn is being looked at by Crystal. She wants to get it for Black Bolt. A glass unicorn, Crystal, for Black Bolt? Honey, I've worked with Old, Strong, and Silent, and I've got 2 words. Casual wear. Somewhere, Black Bolt is weeping a single manly tear because he's not going to get the unicorn he wanted. And now I'm also trying to imagine Black Bolt in casual wear. Sue, meanwhile, isn't sure she wants to get the Fantastic Four playset for Franklin. Why? Because they made your butt look as big as She-Hulk's? Jan, don't be silly. I just don't know if it's healthy for him to play with his family. I mean, depending upon where we are in terms of where his power set is, he could do that anyway, or create little duplicates and then play with them. Franklin's powers were/are terrifying, depending upon what's going on, time of recording. Besides, the butt is huge. I mean, who sculpted that thing? A thick thigh enthusiast. Now, while Sue may not enjoy thicker rendering, I think if I had an action figure, I'd want it to be extra thick. Make it awkward. Make him see it from the front. Flash, as Spider-Man, who I will call Flashman, is trying to chat up one of Santa's elves when he's captured under the control of our mysterious villain, who also takes over security. Well, one security guard named Joe. The story is being very gracious in giving these background characters names. Joe, Miss Keiko. We never even get to see Miss Keiko, and yet I know that she forgot all these orphans. Attention, Christmas shoppers. Listen up, you greedy pigs. Santa Claus here, and I'm sick of watching you year after year wasting your money on plastic junk. Blame the Wasp. Crystal was gonna get the crystal unicorn. This year, you'll give your money to me.
On the one hand, robbery. On the other hand, what a great reason to show up without a gift.
It turns out the hench we've seen beside our villain throughout these panels was a mind-controlled Medusa. Flashman has been compelled to steal as well, so when our shopping superhero ladies see the commotion, it looks like Spider-Man and Medusa are just robbing a Macy's together. This is just what I need. I still have a ham to glaze.
Reed couldn't take 10 minutes out and glaze a ham.
I mean, he was trying to find Medusa unsuccessfully, so he has a pass this time. But Johnny or Ben couldn't glaze a ham. Maybe she has a secret recipe and no one's allowed to know. I'm about to fall down a hole. Let's just pull back.
There's a part of me though that feels they don't deserve Sue's ham.
Reed, we found Medusa here at Macy's. She's robbing the store with Spider-Man. I always knew you were a loser.
Dang, Norman Cook's wasp is mean.
I'm so skeptical of the idea that they can capture the inhuman Medusa, but not fake Spider-Man Flash Thompson with a chainsaw.
Jameson has now reached his final bit of arc for this story.
He's gone from being annoyed by the kids to regaling them with tales of how awful Spider-Man is using the action figures that Peter bought. You're a big fat liar. Spider-Man's a hero.
You realize, son, I make one call. He's then alerted about the robbery, and so he decides to take all the kids in the snowstorm. They get a carriage to go take them to see that Spider-Man is awful.
Peter, meanwhile, has finally arrived at Macy's. What do you know? I'll bet Sue and Reed are shopping together without a care in the galaxy.
What lies has Johnny been telling you about Reed? It's been a long time since I've gotten to do nerdy Spider-Man voice. I missed it. Side note, whenever I do it, people are like, why do you hate Spider-Man? I don't. I just think the voice is funny. My favorite Spider-Man voice is actually the voice actor from the 90s series. That might be some bias because it's the first one I heard. Let me know what your fave is. Don't say mine, mine's awful.
Now, Peter arrived just as they're trying to take out chainsaw-wielding Flashman and Medusa is broken free. Reed is also on the way with Johnny and Ben, and in Cook's style, he looks very Kirby-esque. It's trippy.
Flash is down for the count, so Peter decides to jump in as, well, the real Spider-Man to try and take on Medusa.
Medusa actually ends up taking herself out in a very Goldberg-esque fashion. There's a sequence where a bowling ball she throws ricochets off a bunch of items and ends with knocking a giant display present, or all leading to being cut down and then knocking her out. And the Fantastic Four arrive just in time for there to be a misunderstanding as to what happened. It looks like Spider-Man just took out everybody.
Reed and Johnny are both in romantic movie epilogues in the back of this panel. I'm very distracted by it. Hypnosis.
The Thing ends up throwing Spider-Man in a rage after he called him ugly, and he bumps right into this issue's fleeing villain, trying to escape as Santa. It was the Puppet Master!
But of course, it really could have been anyone. The villain in this is really just a vehicle for the hijinks.
Spider-Son killed Santa!
There now, kiddies. See how Spider-Man ruined Christmas? How do you like that? I think Jonah brought the wrong kids, because these kids look completely different than they did at the start of this issue.
And so we get our epilogue in the same style as our intro, with little snippets told inside of Christmas ornaments.
It came to pass that even the worst of enemies could come together for the sake of the young. As for the Inhuman gals, they decide on a chainsaw for Black Bolt.
Aw, Alicia went to visit her evil dad, the Puppet Master.
Leave their actual history aside and just breathe in the candy cane scent of the season. The king and queen of the city retired to their castle as the queen had a ham to glaze. Did she buy the big booty playset? I need to know. Or sorry, as she said, caboose.
And MJ made it home for Christmas.
Happy holidays and peace on earth, true believers.
If it gels with you, you may feel a tingling of warmth in your heart at the sheer seasonal cheer in the splash page. This comic is very open and uncomplicated as to what it is. A kind of screwball holiday story featuring Spider-Man and some other heroes in a Christmas setting. It's very holiday nights, only even more slice of lifey. It doesn't demand any deep lore or knowledge to understand. And while many of the jokes are character-based and some play off of the characters' histories, you can get them without a lexicon level of knowledge. Whether the jokes land or not is of course a miles varies type thing. A lot of them have a sitcom style vibe, and an older one at that. I know it was 2003, but that charge it joke, I felt like I was falling back in a wormhole back in time. Or maybe it's super relevant even to this day and people are making them and I just don't know. I'm not in all the loops, in very few loops. Loop me up. There are a ton of little visual gags and thought bubbles, so it has a lot going on that front too. So it is a bit more involved of a read and means that there's the potential to take more time with it and little things you see when you go back and read it more than once. Now, of course, if this tone is not for you or you prefer your lighter fare to still feel a bit more in keeping with everybody's characterizations, this may land for you or it may not. This one is more about the vibe of celebrating the holiday season and embracing a lot of tropes that people are comfortable with and even come to enjoy during that time of year, or can find themselves being drawn to at any time. There can be a comfort in them. The plot is built upon several cliches. Can MJ make it home for Christmas? The interrupted Christmas party, having to get last minute gifts, department store Santa shenanigans, but then also a bunch of orphans for reasons.
Jonah need people to play off of.
For me, I really enjoyed seeing Spider-Man drawn in this style. It's a cute style that in my opinion matches the tone of the story, but that's just my opinion, so you'll have to let me know what you thought. All in all, this is a sweet by the numbers holiday special with a superhero twist. It is what it is and it isn't trying to be anything else. Spider-Man's Tangled Web itself as a whole is an interesting experience. The other issue that Cook did was issue number 11. And if you can find this series, it's worth checking out. Some of it's been reprinted, or you can pick it up digitally.
I want people to talk with about it.
There's a Rhino story that's just basically flowers for Algernon that on one hand is pretty well executed, and on the other hand has huge continuity errors. Comment on Spider-Man's Tangled Web down below, and also tell me things about this story. Did you like it? Did you find it fun? Not your speed? If you were to have an action figure or figurine, would you want your caboose to be accurate, boosted, or shrunk? Tell me. Thanks so much to Boxy for sponsoring this video, and to you for taking some time your day spent discussing comics with me. Please do all the YouTube things down there. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit bell notifications so that you never miss a vid. I will, as always, see all of you again soon. Bye-bye.